This video is sponsored by the Cubamajig Series 2 Kickstarter campaign. Today, as I was going through the Jumpstart Historic Horizons spoilers, I came across a card that made my jaw drop. It was love at first sight. Spoiler, it's this guy right here. Daddy loves you!
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends! I hope the day finds you well. We are here to talk about some new Jumpstart Historic Horizons spoilers, all right? Now, most of these spoiler cards are going to be green, but for me, this right here is the main event. This is going to fundamentally change how I play Arena, because up until now, my go-to mode for playing Arena was to play Standard and to play a 250 card green deck. And as Standard would rotate and change, I would change this 250 card tower. But for the last, I would say, pretty much 2 years solid, I've been playing a mono green 250 card tower. And we'll get into the reasons that this appeals to me on the same level in a moment. First of all, let's talk about what the card is itself. This is 1 green and 1 for Pool of Vigorous Growth. It's an artifact. X and tap, discard a card, create a token that's a copy of a random creature card with mana value X. Activate only as a sorcery. So this is essentially Momir Vig turned into a magic card. So we talked in recent videos actually about the Momir Vig format and the absolute crazy randomness that comes along with it. So this is a way to encapsulate that, but give you more options. Basically, it allows you to tuck Momir Vig into your deck along with a bunch of other stuff instead of having to use him as a vanguard that operates your entire deck, right? So this is a huge step in the direction of enjoyability. And if you look at the artwork, you can see some sort of reptilian being birthed in this cauldron. And you can see Momir's face reflected in the liquid. He is watching its progress. I love that little nod because anybody who knows the Momir Vig format knows Pool of Vigorous Growth. And the idea of being able to get any creature card that exists in Arena through this, because that's how it works. If it's not obvious to you how it works, it's, let's say you pay 3 mana. Pay 3 mana, tap it, discard a card. Arena's going to pick every creature that costs 3 and randomly select 1 from amongst them. It doesn't have to be green. It can be any creature that costs 3. So it's this crazy sort of random variability, and I fully understand that is not for everybody. There are some people who genuinely don't like that randomized nature. So for some people, this is going to be a miss. But for me, one of the things I enjoy most about Magic the Gathering is the wide variety of things you can do. Now, I don't want the game to be completely chaotic where it's purely just let's roll dice and see what happens. But I do like a hefty bit of randomization on occasion, at the very least. Like when I played my cube, we would play with Arch Enemy, Plane Chase, and Vanguard sometimes, different layers or whatever, and it adds all this crazy commotion to the game. But for me, Pool of Vigorous Growth just scratches that variability itch. And I'll explain why this variety matters to me so much. It's because I find that, let's say you're playing competitive Standard. Well, competitive Standard decks are 60 card decks, right? In most cases. Unless you're playing something like Yorion, you're going to have a 60 card deck. And to make sure you have the best chance of drawing the best cards, you're going to play multiple copies of those cards all the way up to 4 ofs. So you can end up with a deck that is literally only playing 9 or 10 different cards in terms of not the number of copies of them, but in terms of the variety you can see. So Magic the Gathering has over 20,000 different cards that exist. And you have a scenario when you're playing Standard, I'm playing 9 different cards, you're playing 9 different cards, so we have 18 different Magic cards to interact with. And there's a lot of overlap with what people play. And so there's a massive lack of variety. And I genuinely believe in most cases, people who would take issue with net decking and things like that, I think what it really is underneath that is a lack of variety. It just feels like sameness. You keep playing against the same decks over and over. I feel like if people played a huge variety of decks, even if they acquired them from online sources, that the net decking complaint would be much more diminished, because I think a lot of people don't realize what they truly crave is more variety. And that's part of the reason I play a 250 card green deck, right? It doesn't always play the same. I have a lot of variety. I get to enjoy a lot more cards. Now, I have been a fan of random additions in terms of Magic since the old days. I think that this is something that bears pointing out, and that's the fact that Chandelar was the first game to have digital-only randomized Magic card effects. And I apologize for the low quality of this image, but it's difficult to get my hands on proper images of the Astral cards from the Chandelar game. But this is the Fairy Dragon, and it's 2 green and 2 for a 1/3 flyer, and you pay 2 green and 1 to play a random effect. And what that means is literally a random effect. It could be an artifact tap ability, it could be a spell, it could even be an X spell set to whatever. So every time you set this up, you have no idea what's going to happen. It could wipe the entire board, it could let your opponent draw 5 cards, you could gain some life, like it could just do something that really makes almost no difference. Look at that, that's a blue card now. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's all over the place, and it adds an incredible amount of variety, and I'm a huge fan of that, right? So for me, the pool there, it's so good. I absolutely love its inclusion. I know some people aren't going to like it, but it's literally going to get me to strongly consider becoming a regular Historic player if I get to play with craziness like that. It's just too delightful. I can't help myself. All right, so that was the first spoiler card we have to talk about, and it is the biggest, most exciting one, but we do have some other cards to round it out as well. So here we have Veteran Charger, 1 green and 2 for a 2/2 Centaur Soldier. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature card in your hand. It perpetually gets +2/+2. Now this at first seems kind of underwhelming, right? We have a scenario where it's like, okay, great, I get to give a creature +2/+2 in my hand perpetually, who cares? Well, you can combine it with creatures that, like, basically Wizards of the Coast makes creatures that have crazy powerful abilities, but gives them fragile little bodies. So you can use this guy to beef up those fragile little bodies. Although, I mean, compared to the pool we just looked at, this is nothing in comparison, right? And if you haven't understood yet how perpetually works is, it follows the creature wherever it goes. So the +2/+2 bonus to that creature will apply when it comes into play, when it goes to the graveyard, if it comes back to your hand, wherever it is, that bonus will chase it. Although, funnily enough, the artwork to me at first glance looks like the centaur is chasing down that elf. Like when you actually pay attention to it and you realize, wait, the Veteran Charger's in the foreground. But at first it looks like he's chasing after that elf and he's about to be like, get some! And you go, wait a minute, dude. He's got a big Celestian shield. Why is this centaur hunting this elf? And you realize, never mind. The elf is in the background. And I guess that's supposed to represent him. He's the guy who got the boost, but he doesn't look like he got a boost at all. He's just like running along with his bow, like, let's go. So I don't know, man. This feels to me like some old Celestian Ravnican art they had kicking around, and we're like, bam, let's toss it out there. It's an all right card, but it doesn't do very much for me. I'm going to be real. It's not super exciting. It's like, okay, whatever. Next card, Sky Shroud Ambush. 1 green and 1 for an instant that says target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. When the creature you control wins the fight, draw a card. Now, we don't know what win the fight means, but it's pretty easy to presume it means your creature survives and your opponent creature doesn't, right? That would be winning the fight. Your opponent's guy is gone, and your guy is still standing there going, yeah! That's what I assume win is. And also, I do have to say that this card definitely does not feel at all like it needs to be a digital-only card, right? Some of the cards they're making definitely feel like the pool, for example. That, how are you supposed to do that in physical? Wait a minute. Oh, man, somebody needs to do this. Okay, make a phone app. Make a telephone app for my telephone, guys. Somebody makes an app that literally just selects a random creature, like put in the mana value. Okay, here's a random creature. And then it can display the image of the creature on the phone, and you can use your phone as the creature created by the breeding. Now, I guess you'd need a lot of phones for that. That would be like Deep Space Nine. Did you guys ever watch Deep Space Nine? Everybody, like all the documents are on like iPad tablets, but every document's on its own tablet. So you see like, Captain, I have documents for you to sign. And there's like six tablets. Like, how is this the future? You can only put one text file per tablet. Anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent. There are, I guess, ways to make the breeding pool work in like physical Magic, but it'd probably be a lot more difficult. This right here is straight up 100% printable in regular paper Magic. So, I mean, I guess on the upside, anybody who likes to make proxies or stuff like that is just going to be able to proxy digital cards for them to use. This is pretty solid in terms of a like a fight card. It's well, I mean, it's all right. You know, you've got other cards that do a similar sort of thing. This one allows them to hit back. A lot of the green spells like this now just have your creature deal damage to the opponent. But the fact that the fight maneuver happens and can draw you a card means this could be pretty solid. I would try it out. I would give it a try. Now, let's move from glorious green to blue. We've got Mentor of Evos Isle. 1 blue and 2 for a 2/1 flying bird wizard. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature card in your hand. It perpetually gains flying. Out of all the spoilers I've seen today, this is the most underwhelming, but the artwork does, I feel like, a better job of conveying the idea of giving another creature flying. I assume that this like owl converted this person into a birdman. I assume he was just like a regular human and he's like, bam, you're a birdman now. It doesn't really change their creature type, but I don't know, man. You got these, what are they doing? Either that or he's just writing like, you know, when you can hire a pilot to write stuff, it's skywriting, right? That's what they're doing. I like this artwork though. It's got a very playful kind of vibe. The wizard in front is like, hey buddy, fly on through my smoke rings like this is pilot wings. Man, I'm making all kinds of old references. You guys ever play that on the old N64? Or was that, no, Super Nintendo? That was Super Nintendo, wasn't it? God, I'm old. All right, anyhow, that's all I really have to say about the spoilers and everything like that. I love the pool, so let's throw it over to my sponsor. So what exactly is a Cubamajig? Simply put, they are sturdy, reusable boosters that have amazing artwork from some of Magic's best artists. The purpose of a Cubamajig is to store individually your cube draft packs or your sideboard. You could use it for chaos drafts, for leagues, or even to separate your Jumpstart cards. The Cubamajig packs hold 15 double-sleeved cards, 20 single-sleeved cards, or 30 unsleeved cards per pack. One of the things that I most enjoy about the Cubamajigs is the way that they seal closed, making sure that they won't cause any damage to the cards inside. Series 2 of Cubamajigs brings some serious improvements. There is a new production method that allows for cleaner seams and stops the packs from bulging outwards. The Cubamajigs now come pre-made, so there's no assembly required. Each set of 10 Cubamajigs now comes with a 400 count box to store them in that can be used separately if you desire. The Kickstarter campaign also features the Potamajig, a bigger box that's designed to hold all of your Cubamajigs. On top of all this, the Kickstarter also features playmat showcasing the amazing artwork from these boxes, tokens with the same art, life pads called Jotamajigs, and also miniature pencils to use with them. There's also a series of sleeves that will feature this artwork, and they even have the original art available for sale. Now that you have all the information that you need, head on over to the Cubamajigs Kickstarter because this pricing is a limited time offering. You'll find the link to take you there in the description below. My thanks to the Cubamajigs Series 2 Kickstarter project for sponsoring this video.